Hey, it's Kyle here, and today I'll be reviewing Contact by Carl Sagan. Before I get started with my review, if you like this video, I hope you'll hit that like button, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the support. My background on Contact is actually different than most book-to-movie adaptations, where I usually tend to read the book before I see a movie adaptation, but I watched Contact pretty soon after it came out in the 1990s, and honestly, I will say up until a few years ago, I didn't know it was based on a book. I actually got this book, this copy, at a friend's library sale. So if you notice, it's an old copy from when the movie came out, because it has Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey, who were in the movie, if you didn't know, on the front cover. So I enjoyed the movie. Wasn't one of my favorite movies of all time, but I thought it was really good, really interesting. But honestly, I haven't seen it probably in 15, 20 years. It's been a long, long time since I've rewatched it. But when I saw there was a book that interested me, because I remember the movie having an interesting premise, and then obviously I'm well aware of who Carl Sagan is, being one of the more important science educators of the 20th century, with Cosmos and so many other things he worked on that had a huge impact on science in the 20th century. That intrigued me. I didn't know he had written a novel, so I definitely didn't know he'd written Contact. So the fact that I'd enjoyed the movie and I knew kind of something about Carl Sagan, I was like, I want to really read this book. And I'm really glad I did. It's a very interesting science fiction book. I like the elements that I kind of find interesting. That going into the book, that kind of surprised me after I read it, was how much it really delved into philosophy and religion beyond just the science side of things. I figured Carl Sagan was going to lean very heavily towards the science side, and it did, but he also worked a tremendous amount of philosophy and religion in there, which gave it, I think, a different feel than a lot of science fiction. Probably another different element to it is, like, this is not one of these books that set well into the future. It's kind of set in our time, so it has a little bit more of a grounded feel to it than most science fiction books have. So I'll describe the plot a little bit. If you've seen the movie, you know what Contact's about, but I'm not going to go into all the details of the plot just in case you haven't seen the movie yet. The basic idea is a bunch of scientists on Earth have been trying for a while to search for radio signals from space, basically to dumb down the science as a proof of extraterrestrial life. They've been doing this for a while with no luck, and then suddenly a scientist who's heading up the kind of effort in the U.S. gets a signal. And then suddenly it becomes a worldwide effort to try to decode the signal, because it becomes clear pretty quickly that whoever is sending this signal to Earth has included some sort of message, so they only have to try to decode the message, what it's about. Interesting elements of this book is, like, during the setting of this book, the Cold War is still taking place. So you have, the U.S. and Soviet Union, all the tensions that come with that, trying to put aside that so they can work as almost kind of unite as humanity to kind of embrace this first challenge that's been brought about by the exposure that there's life outside of Earth. And then there is a success in decoding the message, and then they realize the message is actually instructions on how to build a machine, but it doesn't really say what the machine does. So now people on Earth are faced with this challenge of, one, should we build this machine? And if we do, what does it do? Is it actually a trap? Is it like a doomsday device that will destroy the Earth? Or is it something that will transport people to this other planet or bring the alien species to Earth? What does it do? Is it bad for humanity, good for humanity? And the book kind of delves into this debate and challenges of building a machine, should the machine be built, and then what happens when the machine is activated. So I'm not going to get too much more of the plot because I don't want to spoil anything if you've never seen the movie, or obviously if you haven't read the book. Kind of comparing the book to the movie, so I'll say I can make the best comparison because it's been so long since I've seen the movie. One thing this book definitely made me do, it wants me to go back and rewatch the movie again. But from what I remember the book, I do remember kind of the basic elements of the storyline, but I also as I was reading the book, I realized, oh, here's an element that they dropped from the book to the movie. It didn't make the movie. Here's where they streamlined the plot, or they added a different character, or they tweaked the ending some. So while I was reading it, I kept on going through the book and like, am I enjoy this more than the movie than the book? And there's elements of the book, I think I prefer the book, but I think there's also elements I remember from the movie, even though it's been a long time, that I think I might have preferred elements of the movie. Both were really good. I think the thing I enjoy most about Contact, both the movie and the book, is it's different than your typical science fiction. Probably the closest thing it reminds me to recently would be Interstellar. But even that's different because Interstellar has a kind of a dystopian element to it that Contact doesn't. But elements of that do remind me of Contact. So I wouldn't say if you've enjoyed Interstellar, kind of the plot of Interstellar, I think you'll enjoy Contact. And I think honestly, if you enjoy science fiction, you'll probably enjoy Contact. If you're typically not a science fiction fan, you might enjoy this book because, since I said it's set in more of a contemporary period, it doesn't really feel that much different than from our reality. It's easily, this book is set up in such a way that like the events of this book could start happening today, and the setting of the book wouldn't be that different from the setting of what we live in now, other than the Cold War still going on, because obviously this book was written while the Cold War was going on. So overall, like I said, I would highly recommend you check out Contact by Carl Sagan. It's a very entertaining, thought-provoking read. Definitely recommend it. In the comment section below, let me know, were there any books that you discovered that you were surprised to find out existed, that maybe you'd seen the movie first and you didn't know the movie was based on a book? Let me know in the comment section below. Who knows, maybe I'll find out some movies that I love are actually based on books I didn't know, and it'll encourage me to check those books out. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the support. Happy reading, and I'll see you the next time.